Bonjour, welcome to Miss Lucy's Classic Cajun Culture and Cooking. I'm your host, Miss Lucy. Today, I'm at Plantation Pecans in Waterproof, Louisiana, where I'll be picking some pecans for that wonderful pecan pie we'll be making and delicious candy. So you stay with the chef while I pick some pecans. We'll be right back.
The Louisiana Seafood Board is proud to sponsor Miss Lucy's cooking series. Louisiana cooking is known around the world, and Louisiana's main ingredient, seafood. We put the same thing into our music that we put into our gumbo. Everything. A Louisiana tour guide is available at www.louisianatravel.com. Louisiana crawfish, an appetizing natural resource.
Years ago, I began collecting recipes. Some were my own, others were my mama's and grandma's, stored away and almost forgotten. Imagine my delight recently at finding this treasure from my past. How precious. Now, I share these recipes and memories with my children and granddaughter. Just another part of my heritage and Miss Lucy's Classic Cajun Culture and Cooking. Hey, Sha, I'm sure glad you could join me today because I am going nuts over these beautiful Louisiana pecans. Of course, I'm going to share some recipes with you today, but first, let's go to Waterproof, Louisiana and shake some more of these pecans off of the trees. The pecan orchard is beautiful, but this is a real back-breaking job. A whole lot of shaking going on. Often wondered how the pecans got out of the trees to the ground. Now I know. This is an easier way to pick pecans, and quicker too. After being picked, they are cracked, which helps when it comes to shelling them. Now it's candy making time. All the ingredients are mixed and cooked to perfection. Alice has done this before. Pralines are Louisiana's most famous candy, and my favorite. Alice showed me how to bake a pecan pie, but she wouldn't share her recipe with me. These are shipped throughout the United States. The perfect dessert. Deer meat has become very popular in the state of Louisiana now, and of course, I didn't know too many ways to prepare deer dishes, but Melissa, my daughter, came home one day and she said, "Mama, I've got this wonderful recipe, which is deer roll-ups a la Missy." And I said, "Melissa, what are you talking about?" So she taught me how to do it, and of course, I thoroughly enjoyed eating them, and today I'm going to pass that on to you. So I'm going to saute some onions and bell pepper and celery. Of course, that's the Trinity. And I'm going to add another ingredient, which is garlic, to this. So you saute this real well. I'm not really fond of, you know, too many deer meat dishes, but I really like this. I really enjoyed it when she fixed them for me, and I've been cooking them a lot lately because the General has provided me with some deer meat. Okay, now we're going to start sauteing this. Let that saute until the vegetables, which have been cut up very fine, because this will be the stuffing that I'm going to use for my deer steaks. Okay. And what I like to use is the tenderized deer steaks that, you know, at the place where they fix the deer meat. This is how they do it. So, okay. And there are many different ways that you can fix deer, but this is one of my favorites. So, okay, I'm going to put this on low, and I'll let that kind of saute while I show you how to fix the deer steaks. Okay. Now this is the deer steak that I'm using today, plus the one I've had soaked overnight. So what you really want to do is you want to add this to some Italian dressing. This is what I'm going to just go ahead, because I'm going to use this one. You know, Cajuns never waste anything. So this is what it's, okay. That's really what it looks like, and it smells good too. Okay, now you want to get all the moisture out of this. Surprisingly enough, you want to kind of get this out. Okay, so you sit down real good, get the moisture out of it. Now, this will do. Okay, let me try not to be too messy, even though all good cooks are messy cooks, and I really am a good cook because I am messy. Okay, and you push it down like this, right? Okay. Now, then you take your deer steaks, wipe my hands, and guess what? You use a rolling pin. There are many uses for this besides keeping your husband straight. Okay. Woo. You roll them up because you want these steaks to be really, really thin. So you just roll it just like you would a pie dough. Okay. Very good. You see how it stretches that's so you can add more stuffing to it. Okay. Very good. All right, messy, messy, but ooh, so delicious. Now, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to season my steaks. Okay. With salt and pepper. Okay, very good. And of course, Louisiana hot sauce. Okay, this is really going to be good. It's very tasty, and it doesn't take long to prepare. Okay, now I've gotten some cooled stuffing here because you really can't use the hot one for, I guess, the temperature. You don't want to burn your fingers, so you put this in here, just like you would a cabbage roll. I guess that's how I make my cabbage rolls. Okay, good. Then you roll them, just like a cigar. See, so really. Okay. All right. Now next, this really makes it taste good. You lay your bacon, a strip of bacon, and you roll up in your bacon. Okay? It's like this. You can roll it either way if you want to roll it this way or the other way. Okay? Of course, toothpick to secure this down. All right. All right, and then you set it in your baking dish because you're going to have to bake this. Okay, this way. See, it's so simple. All right, let me put it this way. Now I'm going to roll it this way to show you variation, which I think this is how Melissa had done it. Of course, you know, mothers never listen to their daughters, just like daughters never listen to their mothers. So we do, every woman in the kitchen does things different anyhow. All right. Now, all right, this is good. Very good. And we're going to add a dab of water to this. That's to prevent the deer meat from getting dry, because deer meat has a tendency to get dry, and you want to keep the moisture in, okay? Now, the next step is I'm going to cover this with some foil, and now I'm going to bake this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And of course, after that, I'll uncover it and bake it for 10 more minutes, and that way your bacon will be kind of crispy and done. Now, if you want to, you can broil it at the ending to make your bacon more crisp. So now that we've got our roll-ups in the oven, I'm going to prepare another dish, which would be my vegetable. Lima beans are one of my favorite vegetables, and of course I always add a Cajun twist to my lima beans when I cook them, so that's what I'm going to teach you to do today. Of course, I have bought some frozen lima beans from the grocery store. You can use them, or you can use the canned limas. That's fine, that's just as good, or you can use the dry lima beans. Now, if you use the dry lima beans, what I like to do is that I like to soak my limas before I cook them. So the night before, I put them in a pot of water, I cover them, and the next morning I start cooking them. So that, of course, you have to add to some wonderful bacon drippings. Now, I always fry bacon at my house, so I have bacon drippings in my refrigerator. I keep that so I can use as I need it. So just cover this and heat that up very well. And then you add your onions to this to saute that in your pot. Okay, you gauge it according to your eye. Of course, I have a pretty good size amount of lima beans, so I'll just throw some more onions in here. Makes it good. And I add garlic. This will give it that Cajun flair. Okay. You mix this very well. Okay, now, Mama never cooked this too often because Daddy didn't like lima beans. So she was pretty, pretty particular about wanting to feed him and keep him happy because he worked hard in the fields, in the rice fields. Okay, now this is starting to saute. And they'll give it a wonderful flavor. Kind of make them onions happy in there. They're starting to. Okay, now to this, I'm going to add some chopped up ham. Of course, some people like to add a ham hock in here, which is good. You can either way is fine. That's just what Cajun cooking is about. So what I do, I saute all this together. The ham absorbs the flavor of the onion and the garlic. Just cook that this way. Alrighty. And then to this, I'm going to add just plain salt and pepper. I never add the hot sauce to my vegetables, and sometimes I may even add a dab of sugar, but not in the lima beans. So, okay. That's very good. Okay. And cook that all together. That ham just gives it such a special taste. Now, okay. Next, I'm going to add my lima beans to this. Now, I have thawed my limas and just throwing them in here because they'll cook fast if you thaw them. Let's see if I have enough in here. Okay. Mix all of it together. Oh, look at the pretty color. It smells good too. I can add a little bit more. Okay. See, Cajuns cook according to their eye and their feel and their taste and their smell. So we use all our senses, but it produces a wonderful dish. It's part of the Cajun culture. Now to this, I'm going to add some water. Okay. Just enough to where this is going to partially cover the lima beans. Now, some people call these butter beans. You know, I don't know what's the difference, but I like the baby lima beans. And of course, they have large lima beans and small ones, but these were the little ones. Okay. This is so pretty. Smells so good too. I think we got that just right. Now, so you see your water in here, and it will boil. And usually I cook my limas for about 30-40 minutes, depending on how tender they are. Now, just before I serve them, I want to make sort of a gravy in here. It's not really, it's like a sauce. And so what I do, I just mash my limas on the side here, and it thickens up this gravy. And then you serve that with your rice, of course, and it is just so good. And just go with anything else that you have prepared. Now, this looks real good. So while I'm going to let this cook for about 20 more minutes, I'm going to go ahead and let Lucy come help me do my very special Waldorf salad. Now that my dear roll-ups are baking in the oven, and of course my lima beans are still cooking, I'm going to fix a very special salad. But I'm going to be needing some pecans from my freezer. So, Lucy, would you please bring me some pecans from my freezer, Sha?
Okay, Mama.
So today, I'm going to fix a very special salad, the Cajun Waldorf Salad.
Here's your pecans, Mama.
Oh, yeah, good. Thank you, Sha.
Are these the same pecans that you got from the pecan orchard?
Yeah, it sure is. You know, Mama had picked a lot of pecans that day, and I had a lot to put in my freezer.
How long can you keep them in the freezer?
Oh, you can keep them about a year. What I like to do is not shell mine, and just keep them in the shells and freeze them. And that way, all you have to do is crack them and peel them when you need them. You know, it's very, very nice. But can you help me? Because I really, I'll need some more apples and some pineapples. Now, please don't peel the apples because I need color in this very special salad, because the Waldorf salad has just recently been introduced to me. You know, Cajuns don't travel very far, and this is something new that I learned to make because it's the Waldorf salad.
Well, what is the Waldorf salad?
Well, the Waldorf salad is really a very special salad that they make in New York City. And the Waldorf Hotel has a fine restaurant, and they make this salad there. And of course, you know how I am, I have to Cajuanize everything. I had to put some special ingredients in here like celery and Dijon mustard and just different things that I'm sure they never use up there in theirs, you know. So we're gonna just go ahead and chop these, and I'll add them to my bowl. You see, you wanna chop your celery real fine when you do this. And your fruit, of course, can be chunky just like you're doing it there, right? So I think that might be enough of apples to add. So if you do the rest of the pineapple, we'll just go ahead and we'll just throw it all together.
Okay. Well, I tell you, Mama, I think I like cooking as much as I like riding horses.
Well, I'm so proud to hear that, because you know what? Mama never rode horses very well, but she always could cook.
Where do you want me to put the pineapples after I've cut them?
Okay, just throw them in this bowl here.
Okay.
We'll put all this together. Oops, Mama's a noisy cook too, not just a messy cook, huh? Very good. Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and use these apples that I have already cut up. And the pineapple, okay? You think you can get some more? Let me get these apples from you, okay? Oh, look how pretty the color is. Yes, Lucy, that's going to look real good.
Green is my favorite color.
That's right, it is. Then you know what's mine?
What?
What color you think is my favorite? It's red. Naturally, can't you tell? Oh, yes, I like red. So I'm going to add some more celery to this, because, boy, that celery just gives it just a special flavor to the apples.
Do you need this?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Okay, you did that well. Okay, didn't want to come out of there. All right, now, well, how's your new kittens coming along?
They're doing okay.
All right. They like your new house? Okay. This is some Dijon mustard, Lucy. So this is what we'll be
Is it
throwing.
the same as regular mustard?
No, it has a special, I think that the flavor is different than the yellow mustard because you see the color of it? See how it is? It's just different. You can add this on meats too. Then I'll put my mayonnaise, which I'll say mayonnaise today because Mitty likes for me to say mayonnaise. Of course, Cajuns say mayonnaise, and that's what my mom used to say. All right, I'm gonna mix all this together. Gee, what you think of this?
It looks pretty good to me.
Are you lonesome for Sasha?
Yeah, I miss her.
You miss her? Oh, well, I'm sure she misses you too because, you know, she was your dog first before she came out to the country. But I'll tell you what, she's having a good time out there on the farm. So.
Does she play with Lou a lot?
Yes, she does. She plays with our dog, Lou. She loves, they run each other. And now that I've got everything put together except our wonderful Louisiana pecans.
I bet that's just gonna make the salad.
It will. It'll just make it so perfect. Okay, Lucy, and what do you think we should do with this beautiful salad?
Well, I'm starved, so I think we should eat it right now.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll dish you up a bowl, and you can enjoy it while I pull the rest of my meal together, okay?
Okay.
Now I've got my wonderful and delicious meal together, which consists of deer roll-ups a la Missy, which was introduced to me by my daughter Melissa, and I thoroughly enjoy them. Of course, I always serve my Cajun Lima Beans with that because I think that it really adds a little zap to my meal. And of course, another Cajun dish is the Cajun Waldorf Salad, which I'm going to visit the Waldorf one day and compare the two. Of course, this is a very special cake. This cake was baked for me when I turned 60 years old. My friend Gail from Pineville, Louisiana, gave me this cake. Of course, I was devastated when I turned 60, and I just couldn't handle it. I said, well, 40 years old, 50 years old, that was fine, but 60 was just too much for me to handle. So Gail solved that problem. She baked me a cake, and look what she did. She cut it in half. And she said, well, Lucy, since you're so upset about being 60, I'm going to cut this cake in half and give it to you because that would signify me being just half of 60, which would be 30. That made me very happy, and I had a wonderful day. These are just a few of the many dishes that can be prepared with Louisiana products, including our wonderful Louisiana pecans. After having such a great time and eating some of that delicious praline candy, I have a letter from Martha Brannon. Martha writes, Dear Miss Lucy, I live in Kentucky, but have some Cajun roots as well. I just love watching your cooking show. My grandmother used to cook some of the same dishes, and you bring back some wonderful memories. I don't think I have missed an episode. I am telling all my friends and family about it. Thank you so very much, and please don't stop doing the show. Even my children watch it. Thanks again, Martha. Thank you, Martha, for sharing this with me. See you again soon, Shaq. V, you didn't do that. Well, we're going. Look at the prawns on that no Allegra. Look.
We can't find you.
We gotta do it again. I'm gonna fall.
The Louisiana Seafood Board is proud to sponsor Miss Lucy's cooking series. Louisiana cooking is known around the world, and Louisiana's main ingredient, seafood. We put the same thing into our music that we put into our gumbo. Everything. A Louisiana tour guide is available at www.louisianatravel.com. Louisiana crawfish, an appetizing natural resource.